Well, it's difficult to say what is responsible for the prevalence or the reporting of cases. One may be that people are becoming very aware and therefore are reporting cases. That could be a factor. It could be because of all this work that all the other organizations are doing to raise awareness. So it's difficult to know whether it's going up or going down, but we know that the cases get reported. I think what we can do, basically, is to continue reporting, is to continue the sensitization, is to do away with the conspiracy of silence, that people understand that sexual abuse of a child by an adult or by an older person is a betrayal of trust, true and true, no more, no less. It's a betrayal of trust, is an abuse of power over somebody who is vulnerable. And I think once people understand that, once people see themselves, everybody sees himself or herself as a shepherd towards a particular child, as a protector of a child, whether the child is yours or not. But you see that child in a vulnerable situation and you are more than willing to go the extra mile, to take the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of that child to ensure that child is not abused. I think for me, that would also help. And people knowing what the law is, and because we know cases go to court, and sometimes people will get the maximum penalty for the abuse perpetrated against a child. So I think all that and much more, parent-child dialogue, as Adama said, to be increased. I think it's important that children participate in decision making, that parents listen to children, that parents trust children when they report cases to them. So I think if that dialogue that parent dialogue, child dialogue improves or is enhanced, and parents bring their children closer to them, parents make their children their best friends, I think they would probably, to a greater extent, reveal to that parent or those parents whatever wrong is done to them. And maybe the parent or parents would be in a better position to take some course-correcting measure to protect or help that child.
Okay, the other issue that I want us to look at, and of course I think is important, is the indicators. Some of it are visible. Some of it is difficult for parents to know that my child is is being sexual abuse. Like I said, it can be in different forms. It's either through the mobile or the child having access to the internet, or somebody somewhere is abusing the child. What are there that can be able to show us or to show parents that this child could possibly be at risk or is possibly being abused sexually by another person?
There are various indicators. So we can group the indicators to be physical indicators. So those would be signs, possible signs that people can look at, can see with their naked eye, and probably would ring a bell in their eyes. For instance, blood stains on the pants of a child. The blood stain may not be there because the child has been abused. But as a father, as a mother, as a carer, it needs to raise a bell in your head. Or a child having difficulty in walking or in urinating or having abdominal pains or constant nightmares. The other form are what I call behavioral indicators. So it's the behavior of the child that shows whether the child probably is being abused or not. Few of the behavioral indicators would be you have a child playing truants. So a child running away from home, or a child being withdrawn. So you have this very active child, but all of a sudden you realize that the child is withdrawn, the child is isolated. Or you have the child hiding secrets from other people. Or, well, as they would say, you understand the performance of the child dropping in school, okay? Or you see, for instance, a child dressed in some very expensive clothing or having some very expensive items. Or, for instance, you realize a child having recurrent nightmares or bedwetting. You have a child who has stopped bedwetting, and all of a sudden the child starts bedwetting. Or some other people would say, now probably you have all the group of children all calling Njundu to say Njundu is a very good man. But you have one child actually saying, no, he is a bad man. So it's important. You ask yourself, why is it that all the children regard Njundu as good, but you have this one child who says Njundu is bad, or vice versa. So that's about the behavior of the child. Or you have a child having some suicidal tendencies, because there are also effects of sexual abuse. The other indicator, which is forensic or medical, certainly is once a child is abused, they take the child to a hospital. Then the hospital would do some tests to know whether the child has been penetrated or has been abused. So this would be the various categories of indicators: physical indicators, behavioral indicators, medical indicators, what are called forensic indicators of abuse.
Madam, parents and children. Now we were talking about the same indicators, but of course we know that it will be very difficult if parents are not, or children are not close to them. It's difficult for the parents to be able to observe some of the behavioral changes in children. Now, as a child activist, how would you be able to compare the relationship between parents and children in terms of having dialogue at the homes and others, in order to be able to help bridge that gap that is between the children and their parents, and so parents can be able to detect some of these things easily?
Well, thank you for that question. How are we going to compare is that promotion of excessive dialogue, child to parent, making sure that parents have the time to sit at home and listen to whatever their child has to say, making sure that parents will take these measures or will take these things into consideration, because nowadays you are seeing a whole family or a whole house, a parent renting the house to somebody that they do not know, and they go to work and leaving the child with that particular person. Anything else might happen. So parents must have consistent remindment of who they are giving their house to, who is close to their child, and who their child is having contact with day to day. And if children report cases of sexual violation, they should take it into consideration. A child cannot lie about being sexually abused. If a child comes and say, my uncle has done this to me, do not say, because the uncle is my brother or something. That cannot be true. Always take into consideration whatever the child has to say. In this regard, believe it. Even if it is not true, try and investigate. That is the proper way of bridging the gap and making sure that child sexual abuse can be the thing of the past in our society.
Okay, thank you, Adama. Viewers, you're reminded that you're watching this panel that is brought to you by the Child Protection. Okay, we apologize for that technical hiccup. We're back again. ñu jégalu ci dog-dog boobu rek waaye comme li ñu doon wax rek mooy programme bi ñi ko dépense andi ko fi mooy mbootaay boobu ñu woowee Child Protection Alliance ki leen jiite mu ngi fi ki nga xam ne mooy Njundu Dramé national coordinator bi ki nga xam ne ni tam mooy jiiti xale yi nekk ci ron mbootaay boobu ñu ko woowee Adam Dramé moom it mu ngi fi pour waxtaan ak mbokk yi tey suñ tomb bi ñu waxtaanee mooy li nga xam ne mooy daanu ci kaw xale te ñu wax fi ne li nekk na loo xam ne nii mën nañoo wax ne yàgg na fi rek waaye